Hi everyone. Today we are going to deal with the sound of music. Evelyn Glennie listens to the sound of music without hearing it. Part 1. Evelyn Glennie is rushing towards the Academy of Music in London. She's a teenager from a Scottish farm and she's an aspiring musician. She's facing a bigger challenge than most. The challenge that she faced was that she was profoundly deaf. Evelyn Glennie's loss of hearing had been gradual. It happened at the age of 8 when they noticed that she was waiting to play the piano and her name was called but she couldn't move. Evelyn managed to conceal a growing deafness from the friends and the teachers, but by the time 11, her marks had deteriorated and her headmistress urged her parents to take her to a specialist. They discovered that her hearing was severely impaired as a result of gradual nerve damage, and she should be fitted with hearing aids and sent to a school for the deaf. For her, everything suddenly looked black. But she was not a person who was going to give up. She was determined to lead a normal life and pursue her interest in music. She noticed one day a girl playing xylophone and decided that she wanted to play it too. Ron Forbes was her teacher who spotted her potential. He began by tuning two large drums to different notes. And he advised her, don't listen through ears, he would say. Try to sense it some other way. She realized that the higher drum from the waist up, she could feel it, and the lower one from the waist down. Forbes repeated the exercise and soon Evelyn discovered that she could sense certain notes in the different parts of her body. She had learned to open the mind and the body to the sounds and the vibrations. The rest was sheer determination and hard work. From that point onward, she never looked back. She toured United Kingdom with youth orchestra, and by the time she was 16, she had decided to make music her life. She auditioned for the Royal Academy of Music and scored one of the highest marks in the history of the Academy. She gradually moved from orchestral work to solo performances. At the end of her 3-year course, she had captured most of the top awards. Evelyn won't accept any hint of heroic achievement. If you work hard and know where you're going, you'll get there. It's intriguing to watch Evelyn function so effortlessly without hearing. In a 2-hour discussion, she never missed a word, says the people who used to interview her. Men with bushy beards give me trouble, she laughed. But it's not just watching the lips, it's the whole face, especially the eyes. She speaks flawlessly with a Scottish tilt. My speech is clear because I could hear till I was 11, she says, but that doesn't explain how she managed to learn French and master basic Japanese. For music, her opinion is this: it pours in through every part of the body. It tingles in the skin, my cheekbones, and even in my hair. When she plays the xylophone, she can sense the sound passing the stick into the fingertips. By leaning against the drums, she can feel the resonances flowing into her body. On a wooden platform, she removes her shoes so that the vibrations pass through her bare feet up and her legs. In the 8th paragraph, we come across how she delights her audience. In 1991, she was presented with the Royal Philharmonic Society's prestigious Soloist of the Year award. Says master percussionist James Blades, God may have taken her hearing, but he has given her back something extraordinary. What we hear she feels far more deeply than any of us. That is why she expresses music so beautifully. Evelyn confesses that she is something of a workaholic. I have just got to work, often harder than the classical musicians, but the rewards are enormous. Apart from the regular concerts, Evelyn also gives free concerts in prisons and hospitals that shows her goodness. She also gives high priority to classes free for young musicians. And Richlin of Beethoven Fund of Deaf Children says, she is a shining inspiration for the deaf children. They see that there is nowhere that they cannot go. Evelyn Glennie has already accomplished more than most people twice her age. She has brought percussion to the front of orchestra and demonstrated that it can be very moving. She has given inspirations to those who are handicapped people who look to her and say, if she can do it, I can. And not the least, she has given enormous pleasure to millions. This is written by Deborah Cowley. The Shehnai of Bismillah Khan. Emperor Aurangzeb banned the playing of the musical instrument called pungi in the royal residence. He had an opinion that it had a shrill, unpleasant sound. Pungi became a generic name for reeded noisemakers. Later, one day, a barber from the family of professional musicians chose a pipe with natural hollow stem that was longer and broader than the pungi and made 7 holes on the body, and closing and opening some of the holes, he played on it. Soft and melodious sounds were produced. He played the instrument before the royalty and everyone was impressed. Instrument different from pungi and was played by a nai in the Shah's chambers. It was called Shehnai. The sound of Shehnai began to be considered auspicious, and so naturally it's played in the temples and is an indispensable component of any North Indian wedding. Shehnai was a part of Naubat, or traditional ensemble of 9 instruments found in the royal courts. Till recently it was used only in temples and weddings. The credit for bringing this instrument onto the classical stage goes to Ustad Bismillah Khan. Bismillah Khan played Gilli-Danda near a pond in the ancient estate of Dumrao in Bihar. He would regularly go to the nearby Bihariji temple to sing Bhojpuri Chaita, at the end of which he would earn a big laddu weighing 1.25 kg, a prize given by the local Maharaja. This happened 80 years ago. The little boy has travelled far to earn the highest civilian award in India, the Bharat Ratna. Born on 21st March 1916, Bismillah belongs to a well-known family of musicians from Bihar. His grandfather Rasul Bakht Khan was Shehnai Nawaz of Bhojpur King's Court. Father Paigambar Bakht and other paternal ancestors were also great Shehnai players. The young boy took to music early in the life. At the age of 3, when his mother took him to his maternal uncle's house in Benares, now Varanasi, Bismillah was fascinated watching his uncles practicing the Shehnai. Soon Bismillah started accompanying his uncle Ali Bakht to Vishnu temple of Benares, where Bakht was employed to play the Shehnai. As Ali Bakht would play the Shehnai, Bismillah would sit captivated for hours. Slowly, he started getting lessons in playing the instrument and started practicing throughout the day. Then in the temple of Balaji and Mangala Maya and the banks of the Ganges, he became the young apprentice's favorite haunts, where he would practice in solitude. The flowing waters of Ganga inspired him to improvise and invent ragas that were earlier considered to be beyond the range of the Shehnai. At the age of 14, Bismillah accompanied his uncle to Allahabad music conference. Ustad Faiz Khan patted the young boy's back there and commented, "Work hard and you shall make it." In 1938, when All India Radio was opened in Lucknow, Bismillah's big break came there. He became the often heard Shehnai player on the radio. When India gained independence on 15th August 1947, Bismillah Khan became the first Indian to greet the nation with a Shehnai. He poured his heart into the Rag Kafi from the Red Fort to an audience which included Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, who later gave his famous Tryst with the Destiny speech. Bismillah Khan has given many memorable performances both in India and abroad, which are so. His first trip abroad was to Afghanistan, where King Zahir Shah was so taken by the maestro that he gifted priceless Persian carpets and other souvenirs. The King of Afghanistan was not only the one to be fascinated with Bismillah Khan's music. Film director Vijay Bhatt was impressed after hearing Bismillah's play at a festival that he named a film after the instrument called Gunj Uthi Shehnai. The film was a hit, and one of Bismillah Khan's compositions, Dil Ka Khilona Hai Toot Gaya, turned out to be a nationwide chart buster. Despite this huge success in the celluloid world, Bismillah Khan's ventures in the film music were limited to two: Vijay Bhatt's Gunj Uthi Shehnai and Vikram Srinivas's Kannada venture Shanadi Appanna, I just can't come to terms with the artificiality and glamour of the film world, he says with emphasis. The awards and recognition came thick and fast, and Bismillah Khan became the first Indian to be invited to perform at the prestigious Lincoln Center Hall in USA. He also took part in the World Exposition in Montreal, in Cannes Art Festival, and in Osaka Trade Fair. So well known did he become internationally that an auditorium in Tehran was named after him, Tahar Musiki Ustad Bismillah Khan. National awards like Padma Shri and Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan were conferred on him. 2001, Ustad Bismillah Khan was awarded India's highest civilian award, the Bharat Ratna. With the coveted award resting on his chest and eyes glinting with rare happiness, he said, "All I would like to say is teach your children music. This is Hindustan's richest tradition. Even the West is now coming to learn our music." In spite of having travelled all over the world, Khan Sahib is fondly called so, is exceedingly fond of Benares and Damrao, and they remain for him the most wonderful towns of the world. A student of his once wanted him to head a Shehnai school in USA. The student promised to recreate the atmosphere of Benares by replicating the temples there. But Khan Sahib asked him if he would be able to transport river Ganga as well. Later remembered to have said, "That is why whenever I am in a foreign country, I keep yearning to see Hindustan. While in Mumbai, I think only Benares and the holy Ganga. And while in Benares, I miss the unique Matha of Damrao." Ustad Bismillah Khan's life is a perfect example of rich cultural heritage of India, one that effortlessly accepts that a devout Muslim like him can very naturally play the Shehnai every morning at Kashi Vishwanath temple. Ustad Bismillah Khan passed away on 21st August 2006 at the age of 90 after prolonged illness. He was given a state funeral and the government of India declared one day of national mourning. Now let us discuss in detail about that in the text in another video. Thank you.